This is the OTB Network.
Welcome to Horses and Courses. I'm Jean Wood. Of course, a very busy weekend of stakes racing just concluded. We are, of course, going to highlight this busy weekend at Pimlico, but we're going to begin the day on the West Coast. We're going to head to Northern California and Saturday's running on the turf of the Yerba Buena for fillies and mares. Let's head to Golden Gate, the Yerba Buena.
Racing. They come away cleanly. Midwife flashing plenty of pace from the inside, and Marla Bay is in pursuit of the lead in the blue silks. Rama 12 not too far away as they begin to sort themselves out, followed by Lazarita first draft and Pickle as last of the six. With one circuit to travel, Midwife leading 3/4 of a length Marla Bay. Rama 12 just behind those horses, now tucking in on the heels of Marla Bay, followed closely by Lazarita, who was just inclined to lug a little bit going into that turn. Pickle on her outside, Pickle now ranging up to fourth, and first draft switching to the inside of Lazarita is back at the tail of the field. Midwife kicks 2.5 in front of Marla Bay with 5/8 to run. Rama 12 is 2 1/4 lengths away third. 1.5 to Pickle, settling into a smooth stride. 2 lengths to Lazarita, and first draft brings up the rear. Midwife is the leader, going to the half mile in the Yerba Buena by 2.5 lengths over Marla Bay. Rama 12 running third, Pickle fourth outside Lazarita, and the tail ender is first draft as they come off the back stretch to the 3/8. Midwife has set a true pace, leading Marla Bay by 2 lengths. 2.5 to Rama 12, a similar margin Pickle, then comes Lazarita, and first draft is last of all. 8 lengths covering them, Midwife leading to the quarter pole. 1 length over Marla Bay, 1.5 Rama 12 coming to the outside. Pickle's going forward inside her. They're side by side now at the 3/16. Midwife from Marla Bay, and Pickle is coming at them strongly. Rama 12 is now fourth past the 8th pole, and up goes Pickle. Pickle taking the lead from Marla Bay, followed by Midwife and Rama 12. Pickle's the leader, and Pickle, too good for Marla Bay, wins 3/4 of a length. Midwife 3 away third.
Pickle making this her second consecutive stakes victory in California, having won the Wilshire last time out at Hollywood Park, making it a half-length victory as the favorite over Marla Bay, who tracked the early pace. Midwife, the pace setter, holding on to third. The winner, Pickle, is a 4-year-old dark bay or brown daughter of Piccolo from Crackle by Ansham, bred in Great Britain by Simon Tyndall and owned by Ron Charles in the Clear Valley stable, trained by Sanford Schulman and ridden to victory by Russell Bays. Pickle covers the mile in a 16th on the turf at Golden Gate in 1:41 and 3. We're going to head to Southern California now. Hollywood Park had a duo of stakes races this weekend, beginning with the Las Barrera Memorial on Saturday for 3-year-olds going 7 furlongs. Let's head to Hollywood and the Barrera.
They're off. Storm Wolf was a beat slow starting. Thirsty Guys and a quickly recovering Storm Wolf, and here comes Storm Wolf to agilely take over the lead. Thirsty Guys away in second, now with high standards and a positive prize at the rail. Dover Dare is second to last early, and the trailer is long shot Ransom Demanded. As they head up the backstretch, Storm Wolf has left the rail open for High Standards. Storm Wolf is in the 2 path, and he's a half length in front, as High Standards is happy to take the wood in second. Thirsty Guys tracks in third, and now he's out sprinted 2 from the front. Positive Prize and Dover Dare both have 3.5 to come, and Ransom Demanded at the back of the pack, 5 lengths from first to last as they leave the backstretch in the 12th running of the Lazaro Barrera Memorial Stakes, and Storm Wolf is about to clear off. Storm Wolf to the quarter pole, now opens up with every stride, and look at him sprint away. It is Storm Wolf suddenly 3.5 lengths in front. Thirsty Guys, High Standards, and Dover Dare are all in at the quarter pole. Ransom Demanded tries to split horses, and he does it through a very tight spot. Ransom Demanded just pulled his way through, and he's up into second, but Storm Wolf's race to lose at the top of the stretch as he leads by 4. Ransom Demanded has run into second. Dover Dare is third, but it's Storm Wolf to the wire, and he's got it. Storm Wolf is in charge. Ransom Demanded is second, Dover Dare third, Storm Wolf in front. Let's start listing the streaks. 4 in a row for Solis, 3 in a row for Headley, 5 on the day for Alex. Storm Wolf wins the Las Barrera, ended up very close for second between Dover Dare and Ransom Demanded. Thirsty Guys finish fourth.
Storm Wolf making it 3 in a row, a maiden, an allowance, and now a stakes victory. Very impressive by 6. He broke a shade slow, but hustled up into contention rather easily by Alex Solis. Both Solis and trainer Bruce Headley having a wonderful day on Saturday. Solis picking up 5 wins, Headley with 3, and on a great day, capping it all off with the win in the stakes feature. Dover Deer rallied into the second spot as Ransom Demanded, who made a nice bid on the turn after chasing early, did fall back to finish 3rd. The winner, Storm Wolf, is a dark Bear Brown 3-year-old son of Storm and Fever from Exclusive Rosette by Elliptical. Bred in Kentucky by Burton Jones and owned by Mercedes Stable and Marcia Nafee. Trained by Bruce Headley, ridden to victory by Alex Solis. Storm Wolf covers the 7 furlongs at Hollywood in 1:22 and 1. We're going to head back to Hollywood now in the stakes feature on Sunday. The Willard Proctor Memorial, $75,000 for 2-year-olds. Let's head back to California in the Willard Proctor.
They're off. The Missile Came, Wild Uncle Kurt, Crowning Caper, and Tis a Royal Cat all show speed. The Missile Came is quickest. June's Prince is next, and the trailer is Risen River. It's the Missile Came fastest into the far turn. He's a length in front of Wild Uncle Kurt, who has to sit at the rail in second. Crowning Caper keeps Kurt in tight at the fence. It's 2.5 to June's Prince, now climbing into the dirt. He's 5 from the front. It's another 4 back to Tis a Royal Cat, and the distant trailer is Risen River, and they're to the top of the stretch in the Willard L. Proctor Memorial Stakes, and the leader is the Missile Came. Wild Uncle Kurt is now off the fence, and here he comes after the Missile Came. These two are now 4 lengths in front of June's Prince, who runs on in 3rd. The Missile Came going to have to try to hold off Wild Uncle Kurt, and here comes Wild Uncle Kurt alongside to take over the lead. The Missile Came is back to second, 6 back to June's Prince, but it is Wild Uncle Kurt, and he's got it. Wild Uncle Kurt in front. Wild Uncle Kurt won by 2. The Missile Came was second, June's Prince 3rd, and Risen River finished 4th.
Wild Uncle Kurt getting the victory as the even money favorite by 2 lengths, showing good early speed right from the start, tracking the Pegram entrant of the Missile Came, with June's Prince rallying nicely from just off the pace into the 3rd spot. The winner, Wild Uncle Kurt, is a dark Bear Brown 2-year-old son of Swiss Yodeler from Cappadocia by Capote. Swiss Yodeler has really developed into an amazing 2-year-old sire based in California. This one is a Cal bred by Patricia Youngman and owned by Heinz Steinman, trained by Mike Harrington and ridden to victory by Isaias Enriquez. Wild Uncle Kurt completes the 5 furlongs at Hollywood in 58 and 4. We're going to head back to New York now in a pair of stakes over the weekend, beginning on Saturday with the Grade 2 Shoe-V for older fillies and mares. Let's head to Belmont and the running of the Shoe-V.
And they're off. Daydreaming broke well. Bohemian Lady moving up on the inside, and Tracy Girl on the outside. Bohemian Lady and Tracy Girl, and they hook up here with Daydreaming just behind in 3rd. Saintliness is 4th, and Society Selection, the early trailer, in 5th. Tracy Girl on the outside pokes ahead in front of Bohemian Lady. It's a gap of 1.5 lengths to Daydreaming in 3rd. The opening quarter was sharp, 22 4/5 seconds. Saintliness is at the rail, and Society Selection at the back. Bohemian Lady on the inside, Tracy Girl on the outside. Tracy Girl with the short lead. Bohemian Lady is racing in second, and the field is now racing into the far turn. Tracy Girl leads 3/4 length. Bohemian Lady at the rail, Daydreaming alongside in 3rd. Then Saintliness and Society Selection. 4.5 lengths from first to last, midway on the turn after a half in 45 4/5 seconds. Bohemian Lady on the inside and Tracy Girl on the outside, and they hook up again as they come for the head of the stretch. Daydreaming now makes her move on the outside. 3/4 went in 109 2. Daydreaming, here comes Society Selection out in the middle of the track. Society Selection and Daydreaming. Society Selection is in front. Then it's Daydreaming and Bohemian Lady. Society Selection drawing away at the end. She's going to win the Shoe-V by 3 lengths. And it was close for second between Daydreaming and Bohemian Lady.
Society Selection, she got the pace that she needed and rallied beautifully right up the middle of the racetrack to a 2 3/4 length victory as the second choice over the favorite Daydreaming. Bohemian Lady down on the rail, toiling a little bit late, did finish a solid 3rd. The winner, Society Selection, had a disappointing performance last time out. Apparently, she did injure herself a little bit in the start of that race, came back off of a little bit of freshening with a much improved performance here today. Society Selection is a 4-year-old bay filly, a daughter of Coronado's Quest from Love That Jazz by Dixieland Band. Bred in Kentucky by Marjorie and Irving Cowan and owned by the breeders, trained by the chief, Alan Jerkins, and ridden to victory by Ibar Koa. Society Selection covers the mile at Belmont Park in 1:34 and 1. We're going to head right back to Belmont, this time for Sunday's stakes feature on the turf in the Sheep's Head Bay Handicap for older fillies and mares, $150,000 Grade 2 going long on the grass. Let's head back to New York and the running of the Sheep's Head Bay.
And they're off. Sauvage breaks well at the rail. Ming Cove in between horses and Finery on the outside. It's Finery and Sauvage with Ming Cove, Dreams Come True, and Honey Rider. Those three right behind the front runners. Kate Winslet is down at the rail. Baroncella on the outside. And the trailer is Angara in 8th. Into the clubhouse turn. And it's Finery to set the pace here. Finery in front by a length. Honey Rider on the outside is in 2nd with Sauvage at the rail running in 3rd. Dreams Come True alongside in 4th. The opening quarter in 24 and 4. Ming Cove is 5th, now about 4.5 lengths from the lead. On the outside is Baroncella, and the trailers are Kate Winslet and Angara. Up the back stretch now. Finery leads by a half length. Honey Rider on the outside. Opening half went in 50 and 3. It's Finery by 3/4 of a length. Honey Rider in 2nd by a length and a half, and Sauvage is 3rd. Dreams Come True alongside in 4th. Length and a half to Baroncella in 5th. Ming Cove is 6th. Another 2 lengths to Angara and Kate Winslet now in 8th. 3/4 in 1:15. It's Finery by a half length. On the outside is Honey Rider, 2nd by a length and a half. Sauvage is racing in 3rd, and now they're into the far turn. Finery leads by a head. Honey Rider on the outside, right there in 2nd. A length and a half to Dreams Come True and Sauvage. Baroncella moving up on the far outside. Then it's Ming Cove. And the field is moving for the top of the stretch. The mile in 1:39 and 2. Finery is still in front. Honey Rider is under the whip. On the outside, it's Dreams Come True. Baroncella out in the middle of the course. Then Sauvage and Angara. It's Finery. Sauvage rallies at the rail. On the outside, it's Baroncella. At the 16th pole, here comes Sauvage on the inside to take the lead. Baroncella, Angara with a late move. Sauvage won it by a half length. Then Angara, Baroncella, and Finery.
Sauvage, disappointed last time in the Beaugay on softer footing. Her connections felt that she would prefer the additional distance here, and she got the victory from a stalking position by a half length at 16-1 over Angara, with Baroncella running from off the pace into the 3rd spot. The early pace really was slow, but it did fall apart, didn't hold up. The track was labeled firm, although it was a bit rainy by the time this race went off late in the afternoon. The winning Sauvage is a 4-year-old daughter of Sri Pecan from Saint-Prix by Carleon, was bred in France by Paul Netaf, Patrick Shedville, and Enrico Ciampi, owned by William Diamant and trained by Tommy Albertrani. Javier Castellano gets the victory. Sauvage covers the mile in 3/8 on the turf at Belmont in 2:15 and 3. We're going to pause now for a brief message, and when we return, we're going to be heading to Pimlico for a couple of days' worth of very busy stakes action. Please stay tuned.
nybreads.com, the online home of North America's best incentive program. The latest news, updated throughout the day, plus streaming video of New York bred stakes winners. Check out the New York bred leaderboards for jockeys, trainers, owners, and breeders. Want to become an owner or breeder? Well, the New York Thoroughbred Breeders section tells you about upcoming new owner seminars and farm tours. You'll even find an online sales section with horses you can purchase right now. There's a directory of New York State farms, a stallion registry, plus up-to-date sales information complete with hip numbers and pedigree pages. Thinking of breeding your mare? First, go to nybreds.com and run a hypothetical mating with any registered New York-based stallion. And finally, at nybreds.com, you'll see why the New York Breeding and Racing Program is North America's best, with over $40 million a year in purses, incentives, and awards. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Horses and Courses. We're going to continue now at Pimlico, beginning on Friday, where they had 4 stakes races. We're going to show you, and we're going to start off with the Adena Springs Miss Preakness, a Grade 3 for 3-year-old fillies. Let's head down to Pimlico and the Adena Springs Miss Preakness.
Last filly stepping up for the Adena Stallions Miss Preakness Stakes. And they're off. Missile Bay pops right out of the gate from Partners Due, and Burnish is next in line in between horses. Moving through now is Hot Storm, and Hot Storm has moved through into third. Flower Bud is fourth on the inside. Burnish has settled back in fifth, and Madalena is second to last at this point, under a bit of a ride here, about the 3-path. Second to last position for Madalena as they approach the far turn, and Hear Us Roar trails the field well off the inside. The leader into the far turn, Missile Bay, but Partners Due is there on the outside. Hot Storm was squeezed back in tight quarters, followed by Flower Bud and Burnish. Madalena trying to get motivated from second to last position. Doesn't seem to be handling the slop at this point in the race with 5/16 to run. And Hear Us Roar is the trailer. And they're at the top of the stretch. Partners Due and Dominguez trying to challenge Missile Bay for that lead. And Hot Storm on the far outside, coming with a late run, is Burnish. Burnish into full gear on the far outside. Madalena is last with a furlong to go, and Burnish and Bejarano up to take the lead in the final furlong, and Burnish through the slop at Pimlico, strolling home. Burnish to win it going away. Partners Due second. Hot Storm was third. It's Burnish to win the Adena Stallions Miss Preakness Stakes. Partners Due was second, and third was Hot Storm, and Flower Bud finished fourth.
Burnish picking up her second consecutive victory, both on sloppy tracks. She romped by 10 in the Keeneland slop last time out. Here moves into stakes company with ease as the second choice by 2 lengths over Partners Due. Hot Storm back in the third spot after being involved fairly close to the early pace. Disappointing in here was the favorite Madalena, who ran 7th and last in this field after a little bit of a difficult start. She never got into the hunt at all and looked rather dull throughout most of the running. The winner, Burnish, is a bay 3-year-old daughter of Menifee from Burnished Bright by Well Decorated. She was bred in Kentucky by Arthur B. Hancock, owned by the breeder and trained by Nick Zito, ridden to victory by Rafael Bejarano. Burnish covers the 6 furlongs at Pimlico in 1:12.2. We're going to head right back down to Pimlico and take a look next at the Pimlico Distaff Breeders' Cup. Very short field of 4, unfortunately, because of the conflict with the Shoe V in New York. Nonetheless, we've got the reigning champ from the 3-year-old division last year, Ashado, back in action. Let's head to Pimlico and the Pimlico Distaff.
And racing in the Pimlico Distaff Breeders' Cup. Ashado with a sharp break. Silmarilla is right there to her inside, and Pleasant Home. And Friel's for Real is last of the quartet. So pushing for the first turn, Ashado and John Velasquez out on an easy stroll on the front and out there, 3/4 of a length. Silmarilla down toward the fence racing second. Pleasant Home is a close third on the outside. A length and a half more. And last year's winner of this race, Friel's for Real, is last of the 4 and only 3 to 4 lengths off the lead. So on the sloppy going, the opening quarter in 24 1/5 of a second. Very slow for the champion, Ashado. Leads it by a length. Pleasant Home is second. Silmaril down to the inside in the third spot. Friel's for Real now has to keep a little closer there in 4. Still 2.5 to 3 from the front with 5/8 to go. Ashado doling out even pace fractions out there. Pleasant Home second by a head. Silmaril racing to the inside of Ashado. There's room for Silmaril down to the inside of Ashado. She wants to move through, and Friel's for Real is last of all. 48 4/5 of a second. So the pace of the second quarter slows up a bit, and Ashado opens up again into the far turn. 3/8 to go, a length and a half. Pleasant Home second. On the inside, Silmaril still going well enough here. Silmaril now asked for a bit of run to the inside, another 2.5, and Friel's for Real. She's got to pick it up now. She's under the stick. At the quarter pole on the top of the stretch, Ashado's still there by 2 lengths from Pleasant Home, and now Silmaril's going to be guided to the outside by Fogelsonger to try to run down Ashado. Ashado has asked for a full run for the final furlong and a half, and she gives it, opening up 2.5 lengths. Silmaril second, third is Pleasant Home, then Friels for Real in fourth. They're coming through the final furlong. Ashado, but Silmaril is putting a scare in the champion on the outside, and Silmaril has gone to the front, and Silmaril and Ryan Fogelsonger grabbing Ashado in the final 16th. Friels for Real and Pleasant Home, 144 and 4.
Silmaril pulling off what has to be regarded as one of the biggest upsets of the day. It was only a $17 mutual on top, but she did beat the heavy odds-on favorite Ashado at her own game, which is running on the slop. Really disappointing effort for Ashado, being caught late by 3/4 of a length. Friels for Real rallied from well back into the third spot. The winner, Silmaril, earning her first graded stakes credential, is a dark bay or brown 4-year-old daughter of Diamond from Cattabuck by Spendebuck. Bred in Maryland by Stephen Quick and Christopher Pfeifferich, owned by the breeders and trained by Christopher Grove. Ridden to victory by Ryan Fogelsonger. Silmaril covers the mile in a 16th on the slop in 144 and 4. We're going to continue now with racing action from Pimlico. We're going to head to the Black-Eyed Susan for 3-year-old fillies. Let's head back down to Maryland, the running of the Black-Eyed Susan.
All in. And they're off. Good break for the Mall Runway Model, and there goes Merrill Gold in between horses out of the front. Our Lady Joy, Spun Sugar. And now Runway Model's going to be taken back off the 3 leaders and Pleasant Chimes down toward the fence, and Private Gift. 5 lengths covers him toward the first turn, and Merrill Gold, who's racing well off the inside, and she's bearing out a bit, carrying Our Lady Joy into a troubled trip around the turn, but Our Lady Joy now tries to maneuver to the inside and go through inside there of the erratic Merrill Gold, but Pleasant Chimes squeezed her out. So it's an interesting first quarter here in the Black-Eyed Susan Stakes, 23 4/5 of a second, as Merrill Gold tries to get straightened, and she's out for a full run up the backstretch. Asks for early kick, and Merrill Gold gives it. Spun Sugar second, Pleasant Chimes. In the third spot, Our Lady Joy is fourth and just 2 lengths on the front, followed by Private Gift, who's racing deep out of the racetrack at about the 3 path, and Runway Model biding her time in last position now. 5 lengths will cover the field. A half, 48 1/5 of a second over the sloppy going here at Pimlico. Merrill Gold sent around that far turn, tries to open a bit here, but Merrill Gold coming under pressure as Spun Sugar is right there and making progress. Our Lady Joy had some trouble around the first turn. She wants to run today. She's into third. Pleasant Chimes is next, followed by Private Gift, and last of all is Runway Model under a ride, wide out and 7 lengths on the front, and Spun Sugar has taken over at the top of the stretch. Our Lady Joy is coming to get her though, with a 1/4 mile left to go. Our Lady Joy, the whip is out on Spun Sugar. Back in third is Pleasant Chimes down to the inside. Runway Model too far back to win. At the 3/16 pole, Spun Sugar re-breaks again. Our Lady Joy put a scare into her, but here's Spun Sugar in the final furlong, opening up 2 lengths under John Velasquez. Our Lady Joy second, Pleasant Chimes is third. They're close to home in the Black-Eyed Susan Stakes, and it's Spun Sugar. Spun Sugar pulling away to win by 3. Our Lady Joy, Pleasant Chimes, and well back to Runway Model.
A little bit of anxious moments in the running of the Black-Eyed Susan, as there was some equipment trouble for Merrill Gold, who showed good early speed until a broken rein forced her to get a little bit out of hand on Edgar Prado. Nonetheless, Spun Sugar was able to avoid most of the problems and end up with a 3 3/4 length favorite victory over Our Lady Joy, who you may remember from some of her good performances in Tampa over the wintertime. Pleasant Chimes, a solid effort after showing reasonably good speed and saving some ground. She did have a little bit of steadying as a result of Merrill Gold's going a little bit off course, as it were, but a solid effort nonetheless for Pleasant Chimes after that trouble. The winner, Spun Sugar, making her stakes debut, a winning one, is a bay 3-year-old daughter of Awesome Again from Irish Cherry by Irish Open. Bred in Kentucky by Adena Springs Farm and owned by the Stronach Stable, trained by Todd Pletcher and ridden to victory by John Velasquez. Spun Sugar covers the mile in an 1/8 at Pimlico. Black-Eyed Susan in 153 and 1. We're going to head right back to Pimlico now in the Grade 1 Pimlico Special. Only one Grade 1 winner in the field. That, of course, Funnyside, but a very solid group of older horses. Let's head back down to Maryland and the running of the Pimlico Special.
In the gate, and they're off. Presidential Affair and Grand Reward. Awfully Wild was away in good order as well, and Euro Silver in between horses, followed by Pollard's Vision. Funny Side, second to last of the early stages of the Pimlico Special, and Eddington is the trailer. And there goes Presidential Affair with that early lick. Leads it by a half length. Grand Reward is second. Euro Silver right there, the third spot. And Awfully Wild is fourth in mid-pack early on. And down at the rail is Funny Side, just 4 lengths in that lead as well. In between horses, Pollard's Vision. Now Awfully Wild back second to last position. Awfully Wild's dropped to second to last, 5 lengths from the front, trying to rate along now. And trailing the field is Eddington. Presidential Affair, the opening quarter, 23 1/5 of a second. That's very fast for the sloppy going today here at Pimlico. Presidential Affair and Stuart Elliott intent on a solid pace. Funny Side rolls up early, and here he comes on the inside. Euro Silver is third. Awfully Wild's back into the race, fourth on the far outside, racing about the 3 path. Pollard's Vision is next, followed by Eddington. Grand Reward has dropped out to trail the field, and Presidential Affair is still there after a half in 46 2/5 of a second. Funny Side has that rail run. Awfully Wild in the second group. Euro Silver in between horses, and it's 2 lengths back. On the outside is Eddington, and Pollard's Vision will outkick Grand Reward. As a matter of fact, Grand Reward's being eased up. 3/8 of a mile left to go. Presidential Affair and Funny Side are 1-2. Pollard's Vision, Eddington on the far outside. Awfully Wild, probably not today. He's dropped out of it. Awfully Wild appears done at the quarter pole, and Euro Silver on the inside. 6 furlongs, 1:11 and 4. Presidential Affair, the leader. Eddington on the outside. Pollard's Vision wide open now to the inside to come on through. Funny Side is fourth, and down the stretch of the Pimlico Special, here comes Eddington rolling home. Eddington, Presidential Affair on the inside. Pollard's Vision battles along. 16th of a mile left to come. It's Eddington pulling away with authority. Eddington eased up at the end. Convincing winner Eddington is in the Pimlico Special. Pollard's Vision, Presidential Affair, and Funny Side, and Euro Silver, and Awfully Wild, and Grand Reward eased up.
Eddington getting the off-the-pace rallying move and finally getting that elusive Grade 1 victory. A share of this horse was purchased by Claiborne Farm for stud later on in his career, and clearly they took a bit of a gamble, hoping that this guy would get Grade 1 credentials. They stood his sire unbridled and now hope to stand Eddington at the end of his career as well, and certainly will look a little bit better on the page with that Grade 1 victory. Pollard's Vision, a very nice effort by Pollard's Vision to get involved after being a little bit wide on the first turn. He did have a little bit of trouble getting through, but he did make a bid without being able to sustain. Presidential Affair, a very impressive performance by this guy. A lot of people dismissed him because he had been running against somewhat lesser company, but on his home turf, on a sloppy racetrack, showing his usual good early foot, he was able to clear this field relatively easily, considering how much speed was in here, and held on very nicely to finish third. Funny Side ending up in the 4th spot. It's hard to say what the problem was. Perhaps he needed a race. He came into this race with a series of long workouts, but I don't think they were quite enough to substitute for a race in prep for this race, and I would assume that if all goes well, we'll have Funny Side back in New York fairly soon, and they'll be pointing him for a couple of the summer stakes. The winner of the Pimlico Special this year, Eddington, is a chestnut 4-year-old son of Unbridled from Fashion Star by Chief's Crown. Bred in Kentucky by the Carl Rosen Associates and owned by Wilmot Stable. Trained by Mark Hennigan, ridden to victory by Ibar Koa. Eddington covers the mile and 3/16 in 1:58 flat. We're going to pause for one more brief message, and when we return, we'll be taking a look at Saturday's card from Pimlico. Please stay with us.
If I had $1 million,
if I had $1 million,
I'd buy you a house. I would buy you a house. And if I had $1 million, I'd buy you love. If I had $1 million, I'd be rich.
Why do I own and breed New York Breds? I mean, why not? Why go anywhere but New York? New York Breds have purses and incentives of almost $38 million a year. Trust me, it's not an easy game. It's all about common sense and finding an edge. As a native New Yorker, I've seen those ads you guys do for the New York Bred program. New York Breds, they start with an advantage. I mean, come on, what more do you need to know? Get with the program.
Welcome back, everyone, to Horses and Courses. We're going to continue now, of course, with the Saturday card of stakes from Pimlico. We're going to kick it off with the Woodlawn for 3-year-olds going 1 1/16 miles on the turf. Let's head down to Maryland and the Woodlawn.
Just about all in line, and they're off in the Woodlawn. And TD Vance fires right out to the front, and United comes away with a good break from the gate. Sueno Del Mar is also right there, and Mighty Meki on the far outside. And now here comes Denby. Denby is part of the pace, which appears to be a bit of a crawl here on the good going. And TD Vance has a 3/4 length lead, pushing onto the first turn from Sueno Del Mar second, and Denby on the outside in third, followed by United, who's tucked in mid-pack, racing fourth. At the fence is Timely Bid, racing along in fifth. Then on the outside is Holy Ground. Here's English Channel, the race favorite, content to settle into second to last position, and Mighty Meki is last of all as they run up the back straight now, and it's TD Vance and Jerry Bailey at a deliberate pace out there from Sueno Del Mar second, Denby third. United is up close to the pace in fourth, and Holy Ground racing in the clear. Timely Bid is on the inside. English Channel with John Velasquez just 4.5 or 5 lengths off the lead, pented between horses there. Here's English Channel, 3 to 4 lengths off the lead. Pace has been easy though, and Mighty Meki is the trailer. A quarter is 24-1, and the half slows to 49-3 as they race into the far turn, and TD Vance trying to take that speed all the way. United attacks from second. Denby as Sueno Del Mar is at the fence, followed by Holy Ground, and English Channel asks for run now in between rivals, and Timely Bid tries to stoke up a rally on the far outside, and they turn for home with United and Edgar Prado trying to go here and ask the question to go on. Now English Channel is tipped out for some racing room. English Channel's got run. English Channel explodes toward the center of the track, running down, front running United into the stretch, and here is the favorite English Channel to win in convincing fashion. Opening that stride up here by 3.5 or 4 from United second, and third was TD Vance.
English Channel scratched out of an overnight at Belmont Park for this spot and made it a good decision, winning off by 4 over United, with Holy Ground very, very fractious early. Gave a little bit of trouble in the gate, acting up, was wide on both turns, and rallied nicely at 8-1 to finish third. The winner, English Channel, is a chestnut 3-year-old son of Smart Strike from Belva by Theatrical. He was bred in Kentucky by the Keen Ridge Farm, owned by James Catorcio, trained by Todd Pletcher, ridden to victory by John Velasquez. English Channel covers the 1 1/16 miles on the Pimlico turf in 1:45.2. We're going to head right back down to Maryland now in the running of the Gallarette, a grade 3 on the Maryland turf course for the 3-year-olds and up, fillies and mares. Let's head back down to Maryland and the Gallarette.
In the gate. Ready for the Gallarette. They're off. And first to bounce away, Path of Thunder. Jelly breaks well from the inside gate, and Changing World is also right there, and Changing World just going on with it now from Jelly in between horses, Path of Thunder. Dynamia is in fourth. Art Fan placed in fifth in mid-pack, followed by Humoristic racing deep out. Filmmaker in between horses in Briviesca, and Feelin' the Breeze is the trailer. So round that first turn on the good going here on the turf in the Gallarette, and Jelly leads the way at long shot odds at 35-1. On the chase is Path of Thunder second. Dynamia rating kindly on the inside in third. Changing World is in fourth. Art Fan is unhurried in fifth, and 4.5 from the front. Briviesca is next, followed by Filmmaker, who's 6-7 from the front, and Humoristic. And last of all is Feelin' the Breeze. Midway up the back straight now, and it's Jelly from Path of Thunder by a half length. Changing World on the outside, still not going a fast pace. Dynamia has run from fourth. In between horses, Briviesca is fifth. Art Fan is sixth. Filmmaker out there 3 or 4 wide in seventh position, 5 lengths in the front. Humoristic is next, and Feelin' the Breeze. They're well bunched here, and Path of Thunder and Changing World going on for it around the far turn. Jelly is coming under pressure now. Art Fan left loose for a run on the far outside. Briviesca is next. Filmmaker tries to roll from 4 lengths off the lead. They're at the top of the stretch, and Changing World, Art Fan on the outside. Path of Thunder coming under pressure down to the fence. Briviesca right behind them. Filmmaker out toward the center of the track. Dynamia down to the fence is just 3 off the lead. They've got a furlong to go, and Changing World the one to catch. Filmmaker on the outside. Jerry Bailey says roll him, and here comes Filmmaker down to the inside. Briviesca battles well. Filmmaker, Briviesca, Filmmaker just there. Filmmaker and Briviesca in a photo finish, goes to Filmmaker, and third was Humoristic.
Filmmaker showed no early speed, as is her usual running style. Despite those big blinkers, she doesn't have a whole lot of early speed, does her best running late, wins by a neck over Briviesco, with Humoristic also making a nice move from way back off the pace. She did have a little bit of traffic trouble near the 8th pole, and it was able to finally get clear at almost 33-1 to finish third. The winner, Filmmaker, is a dark Bayer Brown 5-year-old daughter of Dynaformer from Miss Dubois by Mr. Prospector, bred in Kentucky by the TAC Holdings, owned by Cortland Farm and trained by Graham Motion, ridden to victory by Jerry Bailey. Filmmaker covers the mile in the 16th on the Pimlico turf in 1:44 and 1. We're going to head right back down to Pimlico and the Maryland Breeders' Cup Handicap, a sprint. Let's head back down to Pimlico and the Maryland Breeders' Cup.
And they're off. Gators and Bears fires right away from the gate. Take a Chance on Me now beats that one to the front, and Take a Chance on Me with distinction. And Sir Oscar, Gators and Bears right there with a pace in fourth. It's another 3 lengths, and Willie of the Valley racing mid-pack. Always Noble inside of that is Primary Suspect. An Excellent Band is the last runner past the 4.5 furlong mark now, and Take a Chance on Me a half length from Sir Oscar's second with distinction. Gators and Bears parked 4 wide into the far turn. The opening quarter 23 1/5 of a second. Willie of the Valley getting a great trip on the rail on Grapprato, and it's another 2 lengths back. Always Noble now within 6.5 of the front. Primary Suspect. An Excellent Band is the trailer, swinging past the 5/16 mark. Take a Chance on Me. Gators and Bears on the far outside, and in between them is With Distinction, who fights on as well. And Sir Oscar and Willie of the Valley swinging to the outside after a half in 45 3/5 of a second. And With Distinction and Gary Stephen fights with Take a Chance on Me. Willie of the Valley trying to grind them down on the outside, and here's Willie of the Valley with distinction. Take a Chance on Me. It's Willie of the Valley and Edgar Prado striking the front in the final 16th of a mile. Willie of the Valley with distinction and Take a Chance on Me, and Gators and Bears ran fourth, 109 and 4.
Willie O' the Valley, you may remember this guy from running in some pretty good allowance and high price claiming races in New York back in the day. He was claimed by his current connections. Trainer Richard Dutrow picked this guy out of a pretty high price claimer in New York and has won a couple of races with him since, and now obviously gets the big payoff in the $200,000 race with a very nice purse to make up a lot of that investment right there. Willie of the Valley winning off by about a length over With Distinction, with Take a Chance on Me back in the 3rd spot as the favorite. Gators and Bears was a little bit dull. He did lose some ground being about 4 wide when they headed into the far turn. He did have a little bit of trouble, but no real excuse for Gators and Bears when they turned for home. The winner, Willie of the Valley, is a dark Bayer Brown 4-year-old gelding, a son of Will's Way, from Lizzie Tune by Dixieland Band, was bred in Kentucky by Ann Rudder, Don Rudder, and William Clifton. He is owned by IEAH Stables et al., trained by Richard Dutrow Jr., and ridden to victory by Edgar Prado. Willie of the Valley covers the 6 furlongs at Pimlico in 109 and 4. Right back down to Maryland now, and the running of the Dixie on the turf course, 3-year-olds and up. Unfortunately, a short field, but a very good one. Let's head back down to Pimlico and the Dixie.
Set to go. They're off. And Better Talk Now away with a clean break. Artie Schiller is right there. Grotto Recuerdo in between horses, and Cool Conductor racing on the extreme outside, and Good Reward. Now Better Talk Now has settled into last position. Artie Schiller in the opening quarter of a mile just ahead in front. Grotto Recuerdo racing down to the inside. Cool Conductor is in 3rd, and Good Reward in 4th. Better Talk Now last of all. And as expected, the pace is a crawl. 26 and 1 for the opening quarter, set by Grotto Recuerdo and John Velasquez. Edgar Prado with Artie Schiller right there, just a half length off that leader. On the inside, Better Talk Now is creeping closer and tugging along. Just a length and 3/4 from the front. On the outside, Cool Conductor is racing in the clear. In the meantime, Better Talk Now and Dominguez under a long hold back there is taken back 2.5 or 3 lengths off the lead, and trailing the field is Good Reward. So Grotto Recuerdo grinding out slow fractions from Artie Schiller, the half, 51 4/5 of a second. And Better Talk Now is anxious to run out of the inside, but he's pinned in there by Cool Conductor and Good Reward in the back of the compact field here. And they're just going to turn it into an all-out sprint here for the last 3/8 of a mile. Artie Schiller goes on, Cool Conductor on the outside, Grotto, Recuerdo, and it's Good Reward, and Better Talk Now is last as they swing to the top of the stretch. Artie Schiller's just ahead in front, a quarter of a mile left to go. Cool Conductor tries to quicken up on the outside. 3 lengths back, let's see, Better Talk Now is last out of the inside. In the meantime, Cool Conductor and Artie Schiller ready for a showdown with a furlong to go, and Artie Schiller is digging down in the fence. He's coming back for more. Cool Conductor on the outside, Cool Conductor ahead, a half ahead. Artie Schiller on the inside, digging in with all of his heart. Photo finish, Cool Conductor and Artie Schiller, and Good Reward was third and Better Talk Now.
Cool Conductor pulling off a big upset here, 11-1 over the odds-on choice, Artie Schiller. Also in this field was Better Talk Now, who was the surprise winner of last year in the Breeders' Cup Turf, here running off the board, but it was a ding-dong battle to the wire as Cool Conductor and Artie Schiller joined up in fairly early in the going and headed straight for home, neck and neck. Artie Schiller down on the rail, and he tends to do his best running when he's in the clear, so that might not have been the best part of the track for him. He did bobble a couple of times in the stretch. I'm not sure if he was struggling a little bit with the footing. It was labeled good, but it was probably chewed up a little bit from a number of turf races during the course of the week. The winner, however, Cool Conductor, he actually ran on Derby Day. He was disqualified from an allowance win that day and placed third, but here rebounds with a nice Grade 2 victory on the day of the Preakness. Cool Conductor is a 4-year-old bay son of Stravinsky from Verena by Baronius. He was bred in Kentucky by Rio Claro Thoroughbreds and R.D. Hubbard and C. Cessny, owned by David Garner. Trained by Ralph Nix and ridden to victory by Cornelio Velasquez. Cool Conductor runs the mile in an eighth on the good Pimlico course in 1:52 and 3. We're going to continue now with Preakness Day Stakes racing action and the running of the Sir Barton Stakes for 3-year-olds at a mile and a 16th. This is a bit of a consolation prize for some of the non-Preakness eligibles or some of those horses that are just coming to hand a little bit late. Let's head down to Maryland and the running of the Sir Barton.
In the gate. And we're off in the Sir Barton. Little squeeze play at the start for Real Legend, who was squeezed back as Smokescreen drifted in slightly. Pinpoints going out to the front. Sunshine Stalker, Monster Chaser. Long Shot B-Trick is right there on the extreme outside of the first turn, followed by Russian Bay. And Killinall down at the fence is tugging pretty good. In tight quarters is Smokescreen. Smokescreen pinched back there on that first turn run to second to last. And Real Legend, who was squeezed back leaving the gate, now taken back to last position. So it's an easy pace for Pinpoint, the front runner, and Rafael Bejarano out there, doling out even fractions by a length and a half. Monster Chaser just holding second. Sunshine Stalker there in the stripe colors, followed by Killinall down to the rail. Smokescreen still in behind horses, and Russian Bay is in between runners and B-Trick. And now Real Legend is going to try to loop him early at the 4.5 furlong mark. Real Legend with a sudden move from last position has come within 3 lengths of the lead, and Killinall's coming up on the inside to challenge Pinpoint for the lead, but the pace has been a crawl so far, 24:3:49 for the half. And around the far turn, Pinpoint ahead in front from Killinall. Sunshine Stalker is next. Down to the fence, Smokescreen is now let loose for a better run, and Smokescreen is coming of the bid. Pinpoint to the top of the stretch, leading the way. Pinpoint turns for home with a lead by 2. Killinall in the second spot. As they swing into the stretch now, Smokescreen is let loose and has run, and Smokescreen tries to smoke home as Pinpoint digs in down to the fence with a furlong to go. The whip is out on Pinpoint. Smokescreen comes to almost even terms. Gonna get him. Pinpoint down to the inside at the final 16th. Smokescreen giving all, but Pinpoint turns him back. Pinpoint. And a front-running victory by Rafael Bejarano. Smokescreen was second, Killinall was third, and Real Legend fourth.
Pinpoint getting the victory here. This is a second stringer from the Nick Zito barn, as if Nick Zito really needs any more depth in his 3-year-old division. This guy had been actually a workhorse for a couple of Zito's horses pre-Kentucky Derby. He had a couple of setbacks, but here makes his stakes debut, a winning one by 3/4 of a length over Smokescreen, with Killinall back in the third spot as the favorite in here. Real Legend did have a difficult trip. He was pinched back at the start, had a little bit further traffic trouble later into the far turn as well. The winner, Pinpoint, a dark bear brown 3-year-old son of Peaks and Valleys from Identify by Halo, was bred by Arthur B. Hancock III in Kentucky, owned by the breeder, trained by Nick Zito, and ridden to victory by Rafael Bejarano. Pinpoint covers the mile in a 16th and 1:44 and 2. Next up, we're going to take a look at more older horses in the William Donald Schaefer Memorial. This race, kind of a second-tier race for the older horses that are not quite up to the challenge of the Pimlico Special. We're going to go a mile and an eighth for $100,000. Let's head back down to Pimlico in the running of the Schaefer.
8 in the gate and ready for the William Donald Schaefer handicap. And they're off. 7 Talents and Clay's Awesome striking out for the lead. Zach Cassidy's got that early zip as well, and there goes Zach Cassidy with a zip. Zach Cassidy to the front. 3/4 of a length from Clay's Awesome second, 7 Talents third, Alumni Hall fourth, Ouagadougou is fifth, Royal Assault and Cantante and Go Now as well last, and some 14 lengths off the lead into the first turn. So it's Zach Cassidy out to make the pace, 3/4 of a length. Clay's Awesome, 7 Talents, 3 deep at the 7/8. Ouagadougou is fourth, just 4 from the front, followed by Royal Assault. Alumni Hall racing wide out, and Cantante well back is Go Now. Racing to the 6 furlong mark, and Zach Cassidy leads the way. It's an even pace for Zach Cassidy. No real challengers. Zach Cassidy well relaxed front runner this afternoon. Clay's Awesome, 7 Talents is sticking with him on the far outside. Cantante and Ouagadougou, followed by Alumni Hall, has got 6 lengths to close in and 4.5 furlongs to do it now. And Royal Assault and Go Now still well back. Jerry Bailey asks Zach Cassidy for more run at the half-mile pole. Gets it by a length from Clay's Awesome second. 7 Talents is in third. Then Cantante fourth, Alumni Hall, Ouagadougou, followed by Royal Assault and Go Now. 3 from home. Zach Cassidy sticking. Clay's Awesome right there to press. Cantante third, 7 Talents is in fourth. Then Alumni Hall is coming under pressure. Alumni Hall probably not today. Ouagadougou's 6 lengths in the front, and Royal Assault top of the stretch. Clay's Awesome with a full challenge here for Zach Cassidy. 3 lengths back in Cantante, and Ouagadougou to the middle is fourth. At the 3/16, Clay's Awesome. Zach Cassidy kicks back on the inside, digging at the furlong marker, and Zach Cassidy comes roaring right on back. Clay's Awesome gives him a battle, but Zach Cassidy's put away Clay's Awesome. Zach Cassidy and Jerry Bailey to win, going away by 2 lengths. Clay's Awesome second, Royal Assault third, and Ouagadougou.
Zach Cassidy, this guy has quietly put together a very, very good season. He's run some really good ones against good horses, and here gets the 2+ length victory over Clay's Awesome, back off of a bit of a freshening. Clay's Awesome seems to be in pretty good form right now. Royal Assault back here for Nick Zito. Did have a little bit of trouble drifting a little bit into the first turn, coming very wide at the quarter pole, making a bit of ground late and finishing a solid third. Disappointing in here was Alumni Hall, who really never got into the hunt at all. It looked like he was coming into this race in superb form, but he really was dull right from the start and never got into the game, running 8th and last. The winner, Zach Cassidy, is a 4-year-old bay colt, a son of Precocity, from Zach Cat by Vilzac. He was bred in Florida by John Franks, owned by Paul Pompa Jr. and trained by Pat Reynolds, ridden to victory by Jerry Bailey. Zach Cassidy covers the 9 furlongs of Pimlico in 1:49 flat. Next up, of course, the Grade 1 $1 Million Preakness, a mile and 3/16, the second leg of the Triple Crown, and obviously we've got Giacomo going for the Triple Crown possibility, and a couple of new shooters, and Fleet Alex trying to rebound off a disappointing third in the Kentucky Derby. Let's head back down to Maryland, the running of the Preakness.
14. Facing starter Bruce Wagner. Well, the first time since 1992, and we're off and running in the 130th Preakness. And that was a great start. Scrappy T closing argument headed out to the front. Wilco is there. In between horses now galloping. Grosser going to be taken back a bit. And here comes High Limit. And on the far outside, Going Wild. So High Limit and Going Wild and Scrappy T third. Closing argument fourth, Galloping Grosser, followed by Wilco. Then back to Sun King. High Fly to the first turn is parked in mid-pack at about 6 lengths off the lead. Sun King is now settled back there as well. Greeley's Galaxy up against the fence. Here is a Fleet Alex. Some 10 lengths from the early pace up ahead. Hal's Image is racing a bit off the inside and drops back some. Giacomo is back there as well. And now Hal's Image drops to third to last. Malibu Moonshine. Noble Causeway is the last runner in about 14 lengths from the front. 23 the opening quarter. 46 flat for the half mile. So a spirited, honest pace here. 5/8 to go. High Limit has it by a head. Going Wild there on the outside. Scrappy T right there third. Galloping Grosser. Closing argument. High Fly outside. Greeley's Galaxies down to the fence. Sun King and
Wilco. Fleet Alex has 6 lengths to come now, and Fleet Alex is down inside. Pinned down, has a bit of run, it appears. Fleet Alex going to take the rail run in the prime real estate into the far turn with 3/8 to go. Fleet Alex stymied there in behind a Greeley's Galaxy. Scrappy T fights for the lead and makes it. It's Scrappy T at the 5/16 taking over High Limit, and Fleet Alex has room to roll at the quarter pole. Fleet Alex is coming after Scrappy T in the Scrappy T taking out a Fleet Alex who almost went down. Scrappy T bearing out of the 3/16. Fleet Alex, boy, does he have some heart. Look at him come back, a furlong to go. And down to the final furlong in the Preakness. Fleet Alex, Scrappy T. How much the best is he? Fleet Alex strolling home in the Preakness to win by 3. Scrappy T second and Giacomo third. Fleet Alex, awesome. Fleet Alex by 4, Scrappy T, Giacomo, Sun King, High Limit, Noble Causeway, Greeley's Galaxy, Malibu, Moonshine, followed by Closing Argument, High Fly, and toward the back, Wilco. Hal's Image was back there, third the last, Galloping Grocer, and last of all, Going Wild in a wild Preakness.
It was certainly an eventful Preakness, if nothing else. Unfortunately, this race will probably go down in history, more recorded for the disappointing and frightening performance at the top of the stretch. Ramon Dominguez reaching back and cracking Scrappy T, forcing him outward rather dramatically and into the path of a Fleet Alex. Those two horses kind of falling together for a moment there. It looked like both horses and riders might go down, but fortunately for everyone, no one was injured, and it does appear that neither of the horses involved in this incident has suffered any damage as a result. Fleet Alex, an outstanding performance and a wonderful ride, even apart from the athletic performance of Jeremy Rose, keeping in the saddle and on top of a Fleet Alex, helping him regain his balance. A wonderful ride to place the horse in beautiful position. Breaking from post position 12, he was able to get Alex in towards the inside, actually made his bid up the rail as he followed Greeley's Galaxy up the rail when Greeley's Galaxy drifted off just a little bit at the top of the turn. Fleet Alex made his bid into the clear. It was just then that he encountered Scrappy T, who was bolting from the left-handed whip applied by Ramon Dominguez in rather aggressive fashion. Giacomo, the Kentucky Derby winner, perhaps vindicating that performance a little bit with an on-the-board finish here. He was 6-1. A lot of the talking heads were not particularly crazy about Giacomo in this spot, but he did come back with a solid, if not necessarily electrifying performance after being a little bit sluggish in the early going. He rallied well down the middle of the racetrack to finish third. The winner of Fleet Alex obviously has certainly risen to the top of this division. He was an outstanding 2-year-old and continues now to do everything that is asked of him. He is a 3-year-old bay son of Northern Afleet from Maggie Hawk by Hawkster. He was bred in Florida by John Martin Silvertand. He's owned by the Cash is King stable and trained by Tim Ritchie. Ridden to victory by Jeremy Rose in outstanding fashion. A Fleet Alex covers the mile in 3/16 in a very quick 1:55 flat. That's going to wrap up an eventful Preakness day and an eventful edition of Horses and Courses. Thanks very much for joining us. We hope you'll be able to join us once again next week as we review a weekend's worth of stakes racing action. Until then, have a great week at the races.
6, you'll have exact trifecta and pick 3 wagering all available on this one. Trotters were known as a pari-mutuel race for $800 first money. Wide open group here. I'm going to go with the 3, Fountain City Fury. This horse wasn't racing that badly before the 6 scratch. Missed some time. He's really had problems getting legs back under himself. Of course, a 7-hole, an 8-hole, and a 7-hole probably didn't help in that situation. Finally got a competitive post draw last time and raced competitively. Didn't do a ton of work, but started to show signs of what we had seen back in January. Gets Aaron Merriman in the bike here once again, and I think this one may be a solid player in a pretty competitive group. For second of the 2, Pegasus Maximus, a bit of a flat effort last time, but prior to that, have been pretty consistently on the board. In fact, 5 straight on the board finishes before this one tired a little bit in that last start. I'm going to give this one another chance on the ticket to add some value. Now for third of the 7, Pleasing Choir. Horse comes off 2 straight second-place efforts from Bad Post. Has closed well in both of those starts. Gets a fresh set of hands here in Kenny Cook for Chris Page. This horse, I'm not sure how good he is. He is not green, but hasn't raced a whole lot over the last couple of years. Just 6 starts the last couple of seasons. Big news, this one is 0 for 20 lifetime. Hard to put this one on top of the ticket, but maybe it'll sneak in for a little piece. Going to go 3, 2, and 7 in race number 6. 3, 2, and 7. Exactly trifecta. Pick 3 wagering all available. We're about 7 minutes to post time. Don't get shut out.